Hello, welcome to Thrive After Divorce. I'm Lisa, and I'm excited today to welcome Jenae Tate. Sorry, I got too excited. And I am telling you all, if you are ready to activate your confidence in your inner peace, you're going to be happy that you showed up today to hear this amazing, beautiful woman speak. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I am excited. We've been talking a little before we hit record, and I'm really excited.
Yeah.
Jenae is a mindset expert, hypnotherapist, author, and a woman's empowerment coach. And your mission is to amplify confidence, accelerate success of women, entrepreneurs, and to just bring them to their highest level.
Absolutely.
So welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
I am. You were just speaking a little bit of your journey to get you to this place. And you shared that in the beginning, you set out to be a chemical engineer.
I did.
As people hear your story, which they're going to, or you're where you are now.
Yeah.
That ultimately, you kind of ended up being a chemical engineer just because our brain is all chemicals.
It is. Isn't that crazy? It's like, yeah, it all looped together, and I've never thought about it that way, but you're so right.
But
it's
right
like
now you're a chemical engineer, but of mindset and success.
Yeah.
And tying that all together and how that creates confidence
and results, right? Like that we can actually get to the point of the goals that we have set, where we can figure out how can we have repeatable results? How can we have sustainable results? And how can we do it in a way that doesn't feel like we're constantly fighting ourselves? Because I think that happens a lot, and it gets normalized of like, yeah, this feels like a struggle, and it's just really normal to struggle with these things. Mm-hmm. But really it's like, who makes that normal? Like it doesn't have to be normal. We get to kind of say what gets to be normal in our lives. We get to reframe what we want to be our normal, what we want to be our truth. And like, I think once we realize that, just the amount of say so that we have in our own lives, that's when like those aha moments start coming up. And it's like, oh, it doesn't really have to be hard. And like, I thought it'd be way more complex, and it's not.
Now, as a confidence coach, someone would wonder, did you become a confidence coach because you were lacking confidence, or just because it came so naturally to you that you wanted to share it?
Oh my goodness, that's such a good question. So if you would have known me like just growing up, literally the idea of speaking to people made me so nervous, like hand sweating, just like drenched through, like not at all the person that was just like, I'm just going to get up here and talk. Yeah. And so for me, I think a lot of it was about me finding myself. So I took a path that like it requires confidence in a different way. So like I studied engineering, and so it's a very like male dominated field. And I feel like being there and kind of showing up as like, hey, I have something to offer, and like I can be myself, but also like, how do I really embody success in this position requires some level of confidence. But then what I found is that when I decided to make the switch into entrepreneurship and having my own business, it felt like all of that professional confidence did not translate. It was like, I don't know who I am fully. I'm not sure what it is that I'm doing. I'm not sure anyone wants to listen to what I have to say. Is what I have to say even valuable? And so now it's really important for me to like, the reason I want to share it is because I wish I had someone at the beginning stage to like help me get those skills that I need to like be confident, because I've learned that when we are showing up, whether it's for ourselves or for other people, the amount of confidence we have directly impacts the results that we get. If we are sitting here questioning ourselves, but then trying to get other people to buy into our ideas or just the process we're in, it's like, if you've ever seen someone who's like questioning themselves, you're kind of like, well, I don't know then either. But when you see someone show up and you're like, wow, your energy is magnetic. You're inspiring me, and like you're inspiring me to show up better. It's like it just ripples out. So it wasn't that I had it initially, it was, I wish I had it. And I took a really long path to get here. And now that I've done that long path, it's like, this is how you can do it, where you can actually use this to get what you want.
That's what I think is so key for people that do take that long path, as most of us do, but then we want to turn that path into service and say, let me show you the shortcuts, or not the shortcuts, but let me.
How can you streamline this process?
Streamline,
And like, what do you actually need to take the next step? Because I think that's like part of the journey, right? Is I didn't know what my next step was. So like now looking back, I could have simplified my process of like, if I had to redo this, I would have skipped this part, I would have done this. And so it's like, every single person's different. Like I have my unique background, my unique challenges with my beliefs and my thoughts, and where does my confidence come from, or why did it start lacking? And I think it's like having that long journey, you can kind of see, oh, okay, I see what's going on with you. And this is what you need, not just what is the cookie cutter answer for this is how you show up confident.
Yeah. And I think it's sometimes just we just need someone to give us permission.
Yeah.
Like someone giving you permission to be confident. And what you just were talking about from work or confidence, but we could feel that in relationships too. Yeah. Like to not be confident in a relationship, or it's hard to think of how will I be confident in a relationship. And my question I just wrote down is from having the conversation I've had with you, you were very determined.
Yeah.
You went into a male-dominated arena. Yeah. You mentioned you had a back injury and you healed yourself. You got into yoga. You have kept learning and pressing forward. Yeah. And yet you just said, but confidence was a struggle. So what is the difference now that you have both between determination versus confidence?
Yeah. Okay. I love that question. Okay. So to me, determination is an unwillingness to accept anything other than success. It was that when things got hard, when I wasn't seeing the results I was getting, I knew that just meant that I had not arrived yet. It was this, I am not willing to settle. I am not willing to accept less. And if I am not seeing my results in real time, that means I just have to keep going. It's kind of like this, it's like an inner fight. It's like at the moment, it feels like an underdog fight, right? Where you're like, I'm going to keep going until I get this thing. But in that process of being determined, you can absolutely not be confident. And to me, that what it looks like to not have confidence there is you're continuously going, but you're questioning yourself the entire time. You're like, I feel like I don't belong here. I'm doing this thing. Can they tell that I don't feel like I belong here? Is this what everyone else feels like? And it kind of shows up as imposter syndrome a lot, where it's not like you're doing the action, but the beliefs, the thoughts behind what you're doing to really say like, I'm doing this. And I know that if it doesn't work out like I want to, it's not that I failed. It's just that I'm getting feedback of where I need to go from here. And when you can embody that, hey, I am aligned with my goal and I know who I am, not because of what other people have said to me, not because of the status I've been giving either in society or in my family or the role that I play, but because of who I am, my uniqueness, what I have to offer, just because I am here and because of my experiences, that's confidence. And so I think when you can merge determination and confidence together, you have someone who is absolutely unstoppable because one, they know who they are and they know that they are going to keep doing the things to get to where they want to go.
That is so true. And when I've been scared in my life, which is many times, you just have to get out of your own way. Yeah. I'll stop and go, okay. I am sure everybody in the world has been fearful. Like if you went through cosmetology school and now it's time to do the first real haircut or eyebrow wax, that's scary. You scrub someone's eyebrows. That's no joke. Yeah. Or to the doctor who made it all the way through med school, did everything. And can you imagine being like, this is my first surgery?
Yeah.
On my own, holding the scalpel. Like, they were determined, but it's still
right.
different in the moment of that confidence.
Yes.
But do you think that's where you just have to build and go, confidence will beget confident?
Kind of. So I think this is going to sound funny, but like, I almost think confidence shouldn't really be the goal. I think it's a goal that everyone wants to have, but really what we're looking for is courage. I think it's from when you do something and you feel like, oh my, like the surgeon, right? Like, oh my gosh, I'm about to do this thing. You know that, hey, I've learned, you've taken school, you've probably gone through some type of process to get there.
Hope
but
so.
It's still like, I feel like, hopefully we're gonna go with the best here. But like you're taking that action. And I would argue that confidence, when you don't have the history of doing, is more on the line of like, maybe you've overshot. Like maybe this is going into arrogance and maybe like you're not aware of something that you don't fully have established. I think like when we can be courageous, when we can take bold action, even if we feel uncomfortable. And like, I think getting on the topic of comfort is just like, we are really used to staying comfortable. And we have to be able to associate what is comfortable from what is safe. Just because we feel comfortable doesn't mean that this is the safest thing for us to do, because it just goes back to our primal nature, right? Of we are literally wired from hundreds and hundreds of years of like, stay safe. And so I think in modern society, like our bodies fundamentally are just so primal, where the fear you have of doing something from the first time is the same as like a caveman going out and like facing a wild beast or something. But in reality, we have to learn that if we want to embody growth, we have to be able to say, this isn't comfortable, but this is not impacting my safety. So I can take this action, I can do this thing, and I can have this courage. And from you taking courageous action over and over, you are essentially building an experience base where you then do feel confident.
That, and what you just said applies to divorce so well. Like, and I'm not talking about people that are truly in danger. That is a different show. But for the most people, or a lot of people, even if they're unhappy, even if they don't like their spouse, but they're comfortable.
Yeah.
And leaving that comfort is scary.
Mm-hmm.
But how you just said, that's those courageous steps, and taking those steps are going to get us there. And you said a whole bunch more that I can't even remember. I was in my mind, I was just thinking, yes, that we're programmed to stay in safety, but that's not necessarily the best environment for us.
Right. And it's not the best for our like long-term success. Like it will
growth. You said growth. Sorry for the growth.
Yeah. It's like, it might feel good right now, but I feel like anytime people are choosing to do something that feels uncomfortable, if they can like step outside of themselves for a second, they will realize that there's a way bigger vision, purpose behind it. And if we like get so consumed with this like small moment that's happening of just like, hey, right now I feel super uncomfortable, like, but like, can you take a step back and can you see like, what's the reason behind this? Where it's like, when I look back at what has gotten me here, there were so many uncomfortable moments. There were so many moments that stretched me in a way that I wasn't ready to be stretched. And if I had stopped at any one of those moments, I wouldn't be who I am sitting here today. And so at that moment, it felt like, I feel like I could just like shrink into a small version of myself. But now it's like, oh, every single one of those, it's like, this happened and I overcame. And then this happened and I overcame. And I can see how those things lead to this now that is way bigger than that small situation. I can say small now. It doesn't feel small in the moment. But in hindsight, it's like, big picture view, it wasn't as paralyzing as I thought it would be. It wasn't because I think also something to note is like when we feel uncomfortable, a lot of times it has to do with our assumptions that we have of what's going to happen after this. So like when it's like we have gotten so programmed where we're like, okay, this thing has happened. And the reason I'm so uncomfortable is because one, I don't know what's going to happen next. And two, I'm pretty confident what's going to happen next is going to be really bad. But what if we decided to, if you're going to assume something bad, come up with 3 reasons of what could go well? And do you still feel as uncomfortable with that? If you need to make a plan for if that bad thing does happen, that we've created this what would your plan be when you have that plan for what you would do? Does it still feel as uncomfortable? And I think it's just like small reframes, right? Of,
Yes.
you know, the situation might not be our normal, but is it uncomfortable because we just are assuming the absolute worst will happen? Are we assuming that like we will never make it past this and all the bad things and all the people will judge us and, you know, who am I? But what if you decided from here, this is who I will be. This is who I am. This is what greatness can come from this. And I think it changes how we approach those feelings of this is uncomfortable. Like when I think of even talking to you, there was a time in the past that doing this would feel like, what if I like stall? What if I trip over my words? Oh my God, like all these bad things can happen. But I can also come on here and say, I have a message to share and I'm going to be able to articulate myself well to share that message. And that changes how I show up in the moment. And so much of it is like in our minds and the thoughts that we're thinking, it impacts how we decide to show up in those moments.
Wow, you are really, really amazing. We're just, I'm just thinking like, yeah, when we come up with 3 great things that could go well. And I'm guilty of, I have kind of pressed people to go like, okay, well, what's the worst thing that can happen? I've had people say, I'll throw up in the courthouse. And I'm like, okay, so then what? You're not the first person that's thrown up in the courtroom. They're equipped.
Mm-hmm.
Go clean it up. So then what? Well, I'll be embarrassed. Okay, but then what? Like I'll do the worst.
Yeah.
When I always want to, we're not talking about someone's health like truly bad. We're talking about mindset and our own fears we create, not really safety or danger.
Mm-hmm.
But I love, what are the 3 things that could go well? Like instead of thinking my life is ending, I'm getting divorced, no one will ever love me. My life is starting. I have a chance to find true love. Yeah. I get to have a first kiss again. I get to
be on my own. I get to follow what feels good to me in the moment.
Yeah, like by switch, I'm a huge, huge believer in reframing your thought.
Yes.
If people will just reframe their thought, it's amazing that power alone.
Right. And I think honestly, like when you were saying that, I was thinking to myself, like, what keeps them from doing that? And I think that a lot of it has to do with there's so many negative things that I feel get spoken over us, especially when you talk about like the moment of divorce, like just in society, right? It's
society sees it
stigma
negative.
Overall is still negative, and it's kind of like, oh, like what do you, especially as women, I feel like I mean, everyone might have differing opinions, but it's like, what are you going to do now? And like, there's this like doom assumed like that is associated with it. And I think what helped me when I think of the times when I was like, I wasn't even in a space to speak life over myself. It was having other people to be like, girl, you got this. I see in you what you don't see in yourself. And so like the community that you are developing that you have, it's like, that's the perfect place to be able to come and like hear truth from other people when we can't give ourselves that.
And to know you're not the only one.
You're not alone. Yeah.
I call it the cheer up method that I truly believe. And it's, you need community.
Yeah.
You have to allow yourself to heal. You need education because knowledge is power. And you need encouragement, that reinforcement, that positive, and you need to reframe.
Oh, I love that.
And then if you do all those things, that will lead to self-love.
Yeah.
So cheers. You know, I'm always like,
yeah.
Cheers.
That's really powerful. I love that.
Well, but it's all of it. It's if you're not educated, if you don't have support, if you don't have the community.
Yeah.
And I don't think things are going to change. I don't think you're going to say to a girlfriend, I'm getting divorced, and they're going to high five you and be like, good for you, girl. Congratulations.
Yeah. Right. And it's like, who are we asking for advice? Because every person has their own set of limiting thoughts and beliefs that they have. And so often we will go to people who we feel comfortable with and seek out advice and seek words of wisdom. And sometimes what ends up happening is they end up sharing with us their limitations. So we went from like already not feeling great. Yeah, already not feeling great to like, now I have all these other fears and things that are getting tacked on that I'm even more anxious than I was.
You know, I've got two things here that you've written that I want to, you say what is needed for confidence is already within you.
Mm-hmm.
And when I read that, my first thought was Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Because I always say that's what we're like. Like, we have to do the yellow brick road. We have to meet the scarecrow and the lion and think of what they represent: your heart, your courage, your mindset, like the scarecrow. And then we get to the end just to find out, oh, you had it all along.
Yeah. But it's that journey, right?
Yes.
And it's that constant stepping forward, because I just think back to like my thought process along the way. And I feel like a lot of people probably resonate with when you feel very lost and you're trying to find, hey, what is enjoyment? Like when you're at the point where you're not even sure what joy means, like what you could do right now to feel joy.
Yes.
Then to say, you know, oh, I can create confidence for myself sounds absolutely ludicrous, because you're like, I have numbed myself so much that I'm not even sure when I feel happy. And I know I struggled with that, where it was just like, I'm kind of just floating through life. I'm going through the motions, and like, I have the trauma experience in those situations can be so much that you just choose to detach. And so when yeah. And so
somehow you will numb out.
Yeah, completely numb. You're just like, I'm just floating through space and things are just happening to me, and I'm just, you know, handling it as it comes. And so it's like, from that space to say, hey, this power is within you. It's like, what are you talking what are you talking about? Like, it sounds,
it's like saying the diamond's inside the coal, and you're like, what? And
you're like, all I see is black. Like,
it just takes the pressure to get the diamond out.
Exactly. And so it's like, when we can, it's like an onion, right? It's like you're trying to like get to the center, but you have to be able to go through so many things and peel them back, work through it, and like that determination to keep going until you get there. Like, and then once you're there, you're like, oh, it was there the whole time.
I know. It was easy.
Yeah, it feels easy, but it's like
you just said, looking back, you're like, now it doesn't look as big to me, but I know in that moment
it was a mountain.
It was huge. Like when we look back at our synchronistic timeline, the synchronicities and the things that led, and it built us to where we are now.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the moment, it's paralyzing.
Oh, absolutely. It's like, I don't even know what to do next. Like, I'm just going to default to what I do know. And I think sometimes that's what keeps us in that cycle of being small, of allowing others' voices and opinions to have more meaning than what we want to be true for ourselves.
Oh, because it gives us an excuse. A lot of times
it's an excuse as well.
Well, like they said, and I don't mean you're putting it on them,
right?
But it like, oh, that's what my mind wanted to hear. Thank you. Somebody said it. I'm not the only one.
Right.
It's not me. It's
it's like you're looking for the proof, right? Like, it's no different than when you decide you want a new car and you're like, oh yeah, I'm seeing this car everywhere. It's like everyone in the world has this car. And it's like, no, there's no more cars than there were before. But because you were asking for the proof, you know what I mean? Though, like this happens.
You don't have that power. You didn't put more cars on the road.
Yeah, that's not what's happening. But you have decided to focus on something. And so all the proof of that is going to start coming up. So if you're already like, this is hopeless, there's going to be all these people around you that could be saying all these things that make you feel that way, or like you're going to see just all these evidences around you where you're like, I knew it was hopeless, and like, look, there goes exhibit A showing me. But like, it's like, to me, as doomy as that feels, if we can make that a word, it's also empowering to know that like, we can refocus. And once we choose to do that step of refocusing, and I don't mean to make it sound simple, because I know this is a process that's like, this is not a day, this is not a week, this is not a month, this is a true process to go down. But it's every day choosing, what am I choosing to focus on? How am I choosing to show up? How am I choosing to be in the moment? How am I choosing to make my future different? And those things will also start to provide evidence of, you actually can get through this. You are amazing. Look at you, like, you know, like overcoming. Look at you stepping into this next version. And so I think it sounds very, oh, so heavy, but once we can think about it as like, this is actually really empowering to know that we have a choice.
Yeah. It's like even doing something physical. If someone said, push the boulder up the hill.
Yeah.
Say it's the right size, it's doable for you, but it's hard.
Yeah.
But the more you're doing it, you're like, I am doing it. I am doing it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stop. And then it will.
Yeah.
Come
and
down
I feel
that
like
hill.
it's like, we just need patience with ourselves for some reason when it comes to like personal development and mindset. Yeah. It's like this idea of like, I wrote my gratitude today and like, why am I not feeling grateful? When in reality, it's like, take fitness, for example. Just because you went to the gym one day, you're not going to look down and be like, where are my six-pack abs? You're like, it's like, we have this unrealistic association with like, we did it, it's supposed to be here. And in nowhere else in our lives do we like have this expectations. If you look at, even if you decide to go to college, it's like, you don't go to school one day and like, where's my diploma? I'm ready to do the thing. We know like, hey, I'm going to go through classes. I'm going to be tested. I'm going to feel like I want to
be tested. Yeah. Like we are tested. And I love, like you just brought up school and the gym analogy. It's like, and I've done this many times in a lifetime. I've paid the gym membership.
Yes.
Like you think I paid the dues, but I didn't go. So in our mind, if we get a victim mindset, like I paid the dues,
yeah,
it should just happen. I paid the dues.
Yeah,
it doesn't. You still have to take the membership and go build those muscles.
Exactly. It's so true. It's like, yeah, I got this trainer. I paid for this personal trainer. And because I paid them, I now am going to have a fit bod. So I'm just going to go sit on my couch. Yeah. And I'm going to eat my junk food and I'm going to wait for that to just like show up. It's like, no, that doesn't even.
No, I've never even thought of that. That like, even in our minds, we'll think I emotionally paid. I paid with my life. I paid with love. Yeah. Like I paid. Well, we pay for a gym membership. We pay for school. But we still have to go. We still get tested. Yeah. We still have to. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like that.
Not allowed in the club.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like you're building your own resiliency to be able to have a strong foundation. Like, and we just have to learn to be patient with ourselves and to show up. And it's not that every day is going to be easy and sunflower and rainbows. And like, it's really important that we don't get trapped in that just from social media feeds and what people choose to share about their lives, because it's like, it's so much more to that. Like, going back to our gym analogy, you may see someone who's been going to the gym for a year and you're like, oh, they just have it so easy. They go to the gym and they're just so fit. It's like, no, you didn't see them getting up early every morning. You didn't see the days that they chose to go and they didn't want to go and they still did that thing. You're seeing them down their path. Like, don't compare where you are to where someone is that's been doing this thing for a long time. It's not fair to yourself. And it's not setting you up for success.
I remember there was this one guy, I don't know him, but he was on the path that I was in my car driving. Yeah. But I would see him walking. And in the beginning, he looked like a big, heavy man walking. And I never, ever judge or I'm sorry, being this good that I thought, good for him. You saw somebody who was clearly not healthy or comfortable. Yeah. Doing what they could to walk. And I'd see him and there's that guy. And then it was just like, all of a sudden, magically, there was this thin guy. Yeah. But if I hadn't seen him, but I saw him every day and it wasn't instant to me. I couldn't see him shedding the weight. But all of a sudden one day it was like, 7 months of walking. Oh my gosh, look at him.
Mm-hmm. And I think so often in that like analogy, we will drive by and see this thin person walking or
Yeah,
fit
just
person.
think,
And we're just like, I went walking and that didn't happen for me. And
yeah.
like coming back to just like where you are in your relationships and post-divorce, it's like, it's no different. You are where you are in your journey. And like, as long as we can continuously choose the best next step, we will get there.
Now, I have to ask you, because I thought of this a couple sentences back, talking about the social media feed and how it, that everyone's house is perfect, everyone's body's perfect, nobody, all the, okay. So as a hypnotist, I've never asked this question or thought it. Do you think that's slowly hypnotizing us?
Oh, absolutely. So
Like,
it's funny you say that.
Programming and hypnotizing our belief system?
Yeah. So it's funny you say that, because a lot of people, they'll talk about like, oh, I just go in the scroll and I look up and I've been there for 15 minutes. And it is like a light state of trance and hypnotism that we're doing. And so that might not mean anything to you, but where it actually comes to matter is that when we talk about hypnosis and being in that light state of trance, what's happening is essentially our conscious mind is kind of like taking a step to the side, and it's kind of like, I don't need to be here. We're just doing something that doesn't matter. But it gives suggestions to your subconscious, which is really the part that is where your beliefs live, is where your thoughts are. It's where pretty much all the decisions that you make, like there's been studies that show that more than 95% of the things you choose to believe, the thoughts, the behaviors you have come from your subconscious. So when you think about that and you're scrolling and you're seeing ads, you're seeing random things, it's like we're allowing so many messages to come in, and you are always going to be having messages. Everything we do, it's like it's some type of message to us. I think where the empowerment should come from is we can change what we want to believe, though. Like we actually can say, this is what I would like to program for myself. But so often when we talk about even like the topic of hypnosis, people are like, I've seen magic shows. And that's not what I want. It's like, well, one, that's not clinical hypnotherapy, but also it's like, it's a completely different circumstance. And it sounds really like woo and off. In reality, it's like, it's very scientific based. There have been tons of studies. It's something that's very powerful for us to use. And we can choose to say, I don't want to be involved. I don't want to have to reprogram my mind. But the truth is, it's being done for you all the time. Yes. And so to me, this is just a way to choose. Like I choose what I want to program my mind with. I'm aware that I'm going to be exposed to all these things, and my handle, the way that I handle that and the way I choose how to move forward is I set my own programming. I rewire so that it matches with the results that I want, instead of just being on the receiving end of whatever the algorithm kicks at you today or whatever.
Even the menu board where you order.
Yeah.
You know, like, I just want to food. Why did I get so much food? Because it just seemed like a better deal. Like,
yeah, it's so true.
Well, so we've talked about the mind, and now you're controlling what goes in your mind. Let's say people are there.
Yeah.
But you do another thing that's one of my favorite things that I would just love to study. But I mean, I've read on it and things, is breath work. Yeah. Like even if we get our mind, we still have to get our body to be able to work through that paralyzing fear.
Absolutely.
Trauma. So what would you, when people hear breath work, I just think they think inhale, exhale.
Yeah, it's like, what does that even mean? It's like, what is breath work? And I will say, so my background, like before even like calling it breath work, is I am very familiar with yoga. I studied yoga. And so originally I was introduced to like pranayama, which is like one of the yogic things that anyone who studies yoga or does yoga, you will notice like the movement with the breath and all of these things. And so, at first I was kind of like, I just don't get it. Like, it just doesn't make sense. I breathe all the time. I don't need to focus and breathe. Like, this is something that's always happening. And what I learned since then is that Your breath, it's so tied into your nervous system. It's so closely tied into your nervous system. And so when we think about just like the way that we process information, when we think about our stress response, when we think about the fight or flight state that we tend to get in, especially when you're going through something that feels scary, it's like, what can help you there is breath work. And the beautiful part is that you always have access to your breath. You don't need to search for someone outside of yourself. You have that. And so something about what I learned was just like, okay, you have your autonomic nervous system, and this is your blood pressure, your breathing rate, how fast your heart is going, how well you digest food, your metabolism, your sexual response to things, the production of your bodily fluids. All of this is housed in your nervous system. And in that system, you have the parasympathetic part, you have the sympathetic part. So you have the, hey, I can rest and digest, or I can be in fight or flight. And so often as we go through our lives, especially when you talk about the stage that your audience is in of like, hey, I am in an absolute panic. I feel stressed. This feels like an emergency. I am constantly sweating. Like, it's just like this whole process is happening. We are, excuse me, let me get some water. But like, we are in a state of absolute panic. And one of the quickest ways to get back is to breathe. And so it doesn't have to be super complex. You don't have to sit with someone and do it. Like, one of the first ways I learned was literally to just be aware of where it is you're breathing. So sometimes I will literally put like one hand on my belly and one on my chest and just notice, am I breathing in my chest? Are my shoulders rising and lowering when I breathe? Or am I breathing in my belly? And can I just take time to like, even at work recently, because my engineering job can be super stressful. And so there have been times when I'm like at my desk and I'm like, I am just going to focus and like find my breath in this situation. And on the scientific side, you have your brain waves, right? That this is something that you're using with hypnotherapy. It's also something that comes with breath work, where when you do a fast inhale, you go into your beta state. It's like the panic almost. Like, if you do a quick inhale right now, you're going to be like, I feel charged, I'm here, and like I'm ready to go. And so when we exhale, though, it enters a state of relaxation for us. That's like the alpha state. And so even if we can decide to, I'm just going to exhale for 2 seconds longer than I like normally, like that is a win in the moment. And like, you can feel shifts really quickly.
You know what I've found with breath work? It is so powerful.
So powerful.
But if you can take a minute when you're not being aware of your breath.
Yeah.
Like, when I do that, like, I will find in a state of panic or something, I'm not breathing.
Ever.
Flat out.
Like holding your breath.
Yeah. Like, take a minute. And if you can, now that you're hearing this, but when you take a minute in a state where you're not comfortable, see where your breath is. You're probably, I'm either not breathing, or people start to breathe really fast.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, this is, I don't know how I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
Or it's a shallow breath. So if you can take that focus with tools that you've learned in education on breath work. Yeah. And think, because it's simple, it's fast, it's free. You can do it anywhere. Yeah. And just bring awareness to, like, when my body starts to do this. Yeah. Here's a tool. Like, what would you say one breath exercise would be? Oh, I love it. Oh, there's so many I like, though. But just one, like, picture, there's a panic moment. You know, you're going to see your ex, or you're sitting there to go inside and see your lawyer. Yep. I'm going to give two. Okay. So one is, it's so simple that you're going to be like, are you serious? And what you would do is you would just put one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly, and you can just be sitting or lying flat. And what you're going to do is take a deep breath in through the nose and just allow your belly to push your hand out and your chest to stay stable as possible. And then you're going to exhale out with pursed lips.
almost like you're about to whistle with no sound, and just allow your hand to focus on your belly going back in, and do that for 5 times. So like inhaling in, and it's amazing, just like it's like you can feel your body just kind of like, okay, I'm here. And that's one that's like my absolute go-to, and it's so simple, and just do it like 5 or 10 times, you will feel it. Another one is like 5, 7, 8. It's so simple. It's not a box, it's kind of like a triangle.
Okay.
But it's very similar to box breathing. So it's really good for anxiety and like regulating stress in your body. And so what you do is, if you're having problems sleeping, this is also like, I've had numerous clients have issues with just like their stress has caused them to have sleep issues. You do like for bed, it's really helpful. So just hand on heart, hand on belly again, and you're going to inhale for 4, hold for 7, and then exhale for 8. And so you don't hold at the bottom. You're like, just like having this process of like inhaling 4, 3, 2, 1, holding it. And then you're going to breathe out like silently. So you're not forcing air out. You're kind of like allowing air to like escape your mouth in a sense, and do the exhale through your mouth, because like I said, with the nervous system, you get so many benefits from exhaling longer. Like a lot of people, when they're panicked, like you said, like you're like, like you're like inhaling so much, you're not even exhaling. And that just perpetuates that stress in your body. And your body's like, oh my God, like it's just like to an all new level. The exhale is longer on purpose. And even if you can't do 8 seconds of exhale, just do like, as long as it's longer than the other 2, that's what really matters.
I'm gonna say, isn't it more the system? Like if you could only hold for 2 and make it 4 and 5. 2,
exhale for, and then
whatever, and keep, because I know I've done the box work, and some people can get really up there, like inhale for 16, hold for, and I'm like, I can't.
No, so it's like, if you can't like inhale for 2, maybe hold for like 4, and then exhale for 5. Like it's not meant to be the 4, 7, 8 that matters. It's the like distribution of the numbers. Like your inhale should be half the time that you're breathing out.
And you know, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just love breath work. And I know there's quite a few books on it. And like, and they talk about too, like you'll hear some people really believe in and out through the nose, just calmly in and out through the nose. I haven't studied enough to know if there's different nose, mouth, when to use it, but I know it has so much power in helping you. Breathwork has so much power. And I feel like I just thought of this in hearing you talk too, that I wish breathwork would have been something I knew when my daughters were young. They're now going to be 15 and 18, but when they were younger, or if you have a child that maybe has anxiety to go to the other parent's house, or something, it's something that you can use with getting your family. A lot of families are going through the transition of divorce situation, and it has so much power.
It does. And it's like, to me, it's just nice to have like a tool in your back pocket that you can access no matter what's happening. Like there are numerous things, right? Like if you're having strong emotions and things are coming up, you can do tapping. Like there are so many tools, but those are not always things that you want to do when you're in public and you're freaking out or your kids are having a moment. It's like you're just slowing everything down through your breath. And I think we all have it. It's like crazy, right? That we, like, if you look at a baby breathe, like they naturally breathe through their belly, but like we are conditioned over a time where it's like more people are chest breathers, more people are also stressed and panicked. It's like there's a strong correlation between how we breathe and how we deal with stressful, challenging scenarios that are happening in our lives.
Yeah, when you said baby, I'm thinking even like the animals, like you can see their little, like your dog sleeping, you know, their belly's going up and down. And when they exert energy and run hard, then their breathing changes. Go pant. But if we let our bodies I think we just don't even talk about breath. And to be really honest, back before I studied breath work, which is pretty recent,
Yeah.
I thought of it as far as I know when you exercise, you want to inhale and exhale as you exert.
Yeah.
And maybe in yoga, but I didn't think in my day-to-day life or having insomnia in bed that I can make myself tired by changing my breath.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Huh.
It's really powerful. It's like, there's been different things I've learned along this journey that it was frustrating almost in the process of learning it, because it's literally like how you said with your, I wish I knew this when my kids were younger. It's like, they're not hard things. It's just, they're not as known. And
but why? I'm like, it almost makes you mad. I'm like, it's been around for thousands of years.
Yeah.
We all do it. And I can't remember one parenting book, and I read a lot of them that talked about breath work for your children.
Yeah. I'm not sure why. Like it was something that I remember when I was learning different things, and with everything you learn, you're like trying it right before you share it with people. And I was just like, this works so well. And this also makes me so mad. Like, I'm so mad that it works so well. And like, why did I not know about this until like into my adulthood? Like, I'm not sure why, but I think like, to me, that's like part of like the mission now. It's like, things don't have to be hard. Like going back to the whole reframing, it's like, there are so many things out there, and it's like, this is just a little drop of education. And if you take this and you expand it and it makes it fits for you, like that's a win.
It is. And just to be exposed, like I believe education, knowledge is power.
Yeah.
When you're getting divorced and you're in trauma and you're in grief or anything in life, the more knowledge you have, the more power. And with the breath work, I think we've been so taught you get hurt, like physically hurt, and your parents yell, everyone breathe through it, just breathe through it, breathe through it. But we're not taught. But we're not taught when you get emotionally hurt.
Yeah.
You can breathe through it.
Yes.
Yeah. And I love it. I'm just sitting here going, you're like this beautiful gift basket that has been put together, that you're just this little power bomb of like this get where you're like, if you add a little hypnosis with a little breath work with some confidence thrown in.
Yeah.
And
like you're unstoppable. It's like, there's like, I feel so strongly about like the power that women specifically hold. And it's like, we have had so much external stuff around us that has limited our own vision of who we are. And so there's so much that happens along that journey of us choosing to become. We are choosing to be different. And I think that it's what we talked about before I think we started recording, is just like, when we have the knowledge, the community, when you have all these things together, you start to realize just how limitless you are. And it's like, you like, literally when people say like the stars are the limit, it's like, I feel like I could go to space, because it's like, it's not just about having tools and techniques. It's not just about do this thing. It's like, okay, do you believe in yourself? Do you feel confident? Is your confidence because of someone else, or is it because of you know who you are more than anyone? Is like, how are you showing up in those spaces? And I think when we can really do that and like own who we are, it's like, oh, I just want to be in your space. Like, this is amazing. And all these amazing things start to happen as well, because we have chosen to take the driver's seat of our own lives.
Yes. And you start attracting more people that will help propel you, and you propel them. And then you're part of a whole new collective whole.
Exactly.
Energy that's bringing you up.
And you're just going and you're just like developing. And I think when you're in a space that people are moving and shaking, as they say, or like they're like doing better for themselves, it's hard to like be in a herd of people and stand still when they're moving forward. It's like, even if you're like, I really want to do this, you're kind of like, I'm kind of just like, I'm going along with the flow. Right. And so it's like, if you don't feel like you can do this on your own, I feel like that's never the expectation. And I know, especially for like the percent of people who are like entrepreneurs or anything in your space, it's like a lot of these things, divorce, relationship challenges, parenting challenges, entrepreneurship, becoming, it feels like we're so alone. And we almost start to feel like we have to figure out how to do it by ourselves. Like I know for the longest in the beginning, I just felt like there's no one else around me. No one else knows what I'm going through. Like I'm just trying to like keep my stuff together on the outside. And like, meanwhile, inside, it's like, this feels like I'm waiting for a bomb to explode. And so I think that when we can like have that support system and have the right strategies and things to use and know what we need to do next, like that's it. Like because I don't think of success as a true goal, which is kind of funny because it's something I talk about a lot. I think success is a true journey. It's
a feeling.
It's a feeling, right? It's like who you are almost along the journey that matters more than where you got. Because where I'm at right now, some past version of myself, this was like, oh my gosh, girl, you've done it. Yeah. And now it's like I have bigger goals, I have bigger aspirations. And so it's like success is ever evolving, but it's like, yeah, how you feel, how you present yourself, not in terms of like, how do people see me, but just like who you are to you. In my opinion, it's like, are you seeing you for the value you hold? Are you seeing how amazing you actually are? And like getting down to the root of that, you know?
Wow. And you've said so much, but that vision of trying to stand still in a herd of people, like if everyone listening, just really think of that for a moment. Picture yourself at a state fair or something, like a herd of people.
Yeah.
You can't stand still.
No.
And so question yourself, what group am I running with? Yeah. Because I can't stand still. I'm moving with that crowd.
Yeah. And if you feel like standing still, it's like, this isn't actually that hard. Maybe we need a different crowd.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like you need to know if this is a negative group or someone that's going to, but I can't stand still in a herd of people.
Yeah, you can't.
You are absolutely stunning and just a bright light.
Thank you.
I am so grateful to have met you and to point out to you that you brought it all to a chemical engineering for the mind and body.
I did. I came full circle.
Yeah, but you did. Isn't that interesting? It's like your interest was there. I've known you for an hour, so let me tell you what you know.
This is what you left.
But you started there, but it was still your interest. It's just, it wasn't maybe what I think of as chemical engineering. It's but our body is all a chemical engineering project. Yeah.
And it's like one of the core things of engineering too. It's like, how do we solve problems? Like not just like, hey, this is a problem, but it's like, what do I know what caused this issue? And like, what are my options now to like get to the point that I want to go? Like literally that's like how I would describe my entire job. Like, okay, this thing happened, not a fan. Okay, what really caused that thing to happen? Like the real thing, not the symptom. And like, what are my options? Okay, of those options, let's pick that one. And I feel like while what I'm doing now is not engineering, it's like for people and like the issues that they're coming up against in terms of having low confidence and feeling self-doubt, of taking inconsistent action, of like feeling like they're not enough and all of these things. It's like, let's get to what is really going on. Okay, what are our options? Okay, which option makes the most sense for you? This is how we can get there. And so it really is the same process. And so I'm really like, that's so cool that you like painted that picture, because I have never thought of that before. And it makes so much sense.
It does. When you first started out saying, I started in chemical engineering, this wasn't recorded, but then I knew it wasn't for me. And then as you were talking, I was like, it's absolutely for you. You just put your spin on it. Yeah. And made it where you are shining. Yeah. I believe you can and will reach the stars.
Thank you.
And tell us where we will have all your information listed, but in your own words, share how people can find you?
So currently the best place to find me is probably going to be on Instagram or my webpage. I'm getting married soon, so my name will change. So that's why I didn't mention that. But on Instagram, you can find me on @essentially Jenae. And it's Jenae, because most people want to say an A second.
And also, I didn't say your company name, and I apologize. So
No,
make
you're
sure you
totally
say that.
Yes. So it's essentially Jenae is pretty much like the brand that I ran with. And I was like, that's too many words. So the company name is EJ Coaching, which is literally short for essentially Jenae. And if you want to find my webpage, it's just www.essentiallyjenae.com. So I tried to keep it as consistent as possible across all the things. And in my Instagram, you'll get linked to all the right places, and same with my website.
Okay. Well, how exciting. And your fiance is one lucky guy. He's got to be on his toes to keep up with you.
Yeah, we're quite a pair. He's so amazing and so supportive, and it's just been like a real journey and like really fun ride. And so I'm just in this place of like, I'm so excited for what's coming, and also just like so grateful for where I am. And so it's just like, life's good. It's so nice to be able to do this work. And I feel like it's something that waking up and like getting to help people and to serve them where they are, it's like, it's just so fulfilling in and of itself that I just love it. And I think that, when working with people, it's just like my biggest hope for every single person is like, I hope you're doing the things that light you up, that you feel like in the morning, you're just so excited to show up and to experience your day, because every single person deserves that.
Before we go, I just want to tell you one thing, that on top of your bio, all your credentials, everything you've done, I want to personally tell you what makes you so incredible and a standout is that you are a young, beautiful woman, and you are in a position that younger girls are going to listen to you and look up to you, but you are also so worldly and such like old soul aspects, so beyond wise, that you can affect women at any age and generation.
Oh, I received that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, because I mean it. Like, and that is a gift. Like, to sit here and go, I would love all my friends, and we are all 50 years or older. I would be like, listen to her. But I would love to take my 2 daughters and say, listen to her.
Yeah.
Become this. And I mean that as far as determined, following your dreams, being of service, changing lives, all of that. And so I really, really want to commend you on just to have that gift to reach every end of the scale.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I hope to have you back. And I want to hear about we can have you back maybe and hear about your wedding. And
oh my gosh, I would love that.
Okay.
I'm so glad we got connected. Like, this is way, like, I didn't have any expectations, but like, this just like, thank you so much for having me. This was so beautiful. So
it was. And I am so excited for people to hear it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jenae.